Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
The Mavericks and Thunder met in the NBA Cup quarterfinal last night and had everyone thinking ahead to the Western Conference playoffs. And speaking of playoffs, Orlando Magic, surprise contender in the Eastern Conference. And now the Yankees just need to go get multiple players and win the World Series. That'll show them. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
To me, I think this was Luka's worst game of the season. And there's a lot of different things you could talk about with Luka. He was getting doubled a lot in this game. They were playing physical with him. The quality of shots that he could get off in this game were not very good. He went 5 of 15, just 16 points, 6 turnovers. He was playing into their hand, I thought, in the passing lanes a lot. The Thunder, this is the stat we said on the preview. They create more turnovers than they turn the ball over themselves. And Luka was trying those like long outlet passes where he takes advantage of, the Wizards or the Raptors or whatever other teams he could take advantage of. Wasn't going to work in this Thunder game. And the Thunder's energy and physicality really stepped up, and the Mavs just didn't have it. And I think it starts with Luka.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely statistically one of his worst games of the season, if not maybe his worst game of the season. I thought, in the first half, I thought he did a good job, actually. They were double teaming him, they were blitzing him, and I thought that he was doing a good job moving the ball, and I thought the Mavericks generated a lot of good looks out of those double teams, getting the ball in the middle of the floor. Stuff we saw all postseason series against them last year, where you get the ball in the middle of the floor, you're bigger than them, especially whenever you set a high screen with your center. Hartenstein's playing at the level. You know that their backline is going to be so small. Get the ball in the middle of the floor and let your bigs work. And I thought, we'll talk about this later, I did not think the Mavericks bigs had a good game at all in this one. No. So that definitely played a factor. But, they double teamed him. It was difficult for him to get shots. And then, he wasn't making a lot of shots. But I want to throw him some bail because I thought in the second half, I felt like he went the first 3 or 4 minutes of the half without touching the basketball once. And I'm okay with him not bringing the ball up in a matchup like this because they're going to full court press. Lou Dort's going to be incredibly physical. This Thunder team, they're incredibly physical. They get away with a lot of stuff. Sure, they're the best defense in the league for a reason. They're very, very, very good defensively. Yep. They're so aggressive at the point of attack defensively. And I'm cool with Luka not bringing the ball up. But then if that's what you're going to do, you have to incorporate things into your offense where you're getting him the ball coming off of pin downs, coming off of screens, whatever the case may be, in post touches, so he can get going, and he's not getting the ball with 3 seconds left on the shot clock, having to force something, or not getting the ball at all. I mean, how many possessions in the second half do we see where Spencer Dinwiddie just had to dribble the air out of the ball, or Najee Marshall had to dribble the air out of the ball, or the Mavs had to take a late in the shot clock, shot because they couldn't get the ball to Luka or Kyrie. And that's a credit to the Thunder defensively for sure. But it was a tough game for Luka. But I thought earlier in the season he had games where his effort level wasn't the best, and I saw people, maybe there were some moments tonight where the effort level wasn't good, but I didn't think that was the problem really tonight. I thought it was more a credit to the Thunder defensively. The Mavs just have to do a better job adjusting in game to stuff like that.
Yeah, I thought he played slow, and I thought that he played soft against some of the physicality of OKC. But I think you're completely right in that the Mavs. One of my criticisms of the Mavs for the last couple of years has been, can they get some more actions into their offense to get Luka the ball where it's not just him one-on-one against somebody. Like if that doesn't work, then everything else falls apart. It's like, okay. And it's one of the reasons why it's tough for Spencer Dinwiddie. He has ups and downs where all of a sudden you're like, okay, if Spencer Dinwiddie doesn't just go completely off right here and win his one-on-one matchup, then the Mavs offense goes completely in the drain. It's like, okay, they need some more things like that incorporated in their offense. 4 teams like this, 4 teams like the Celtics, honestly, in the finals. This team, the Thunder team, really reminded me of this Celtics team the Mavs played last year with like Hartenstein as the Porzingis, and then you've got all the the shot makers and J-Dub and SGA, and then they took 53s, like it's very Celtics-like in this game. And so can the Mavs get some extra things going for where Luka, the thing that the Thunder did is they doubled off of every single screen Luka got. So if Gafford came up or Lively came up or Kyrie or whoever came up, they were doubling Luka off of those screens. So you couldn't just set one on-ball screen for Luka to get him the ball and put him in a good position. So he was not put in a good position a lot in this game. But the other thing about that, though, is they're coming up to set screens because he wasn't winning his one-on-one matchup. They didn't just send doubles all the time. just off of jump with him on the ball. And so I think there's in a game like this, there's blame to go around, right? There's Luka's part of it. There's the coaching staff not setting the offense up to succeed in a game like this. And there's others. Yeah. I mean, my thing with Luka will always circle back. Anytime I get angry and upset with him, it's when I feel like his effort level isn't where it should be, where it's up to par. Again, maybe there was some rebounding stuff here and there, but I think that was a symptom of the entire team. I said this in my post game where it's like, if the Mavs had felt like got punched in the mouth, if you didn't expect that, then shame on you. Like if you didn't expect this Thunder team to come out swinging in this game, then that's horrible coaching. And the Mavericks, they were down 3 at halftime. That was not indicative of how that first half felt whatsoever. Like that third quarter was coming. You knew that if there wasn't going to be adjustments, and if that's how the first half played out, that third quarter was going to happen, which it did. I just thought their effort on the boards tonight was really bad. You can't get out rebounded against this Thunder team. Like that's how you beat them last year. You can't lose the rebounding battle. And a lot of it is not boxing out. A lot of it's letting guys crashing off the wings or corners. You got to put bodies on these guys. Has been a problem for this Mavericks team forever. The energy and effort level has to be better there. And some of that's on Luka Doncic. Absolutely. That's one of his big pitfalls is effort on the glass at times. And defensively, I thought they had moments that were, not rotating out the shooters like that. Isaiah Joe 3 was that at the end of the half? I think it was the end of the third quarter, or that one off the offensive rebound, which again you lose a 50-50 hustle ball, and it leads to an Isaiah, and that was a backbreaker. That was like, this game just feels like it's over. But I was thinking the offensive rebound percentage for the two teams, not just pure numbers, but 32.7% for the Thunder. And 18% for the Mavs. That's a stark difference. That's above average and absolutely awful in the tank if you're just going by percentages there. The Mavs defense, like the Thunder, didn't really go off for most of the game. They had like a 110 like offensive rating, which is average or like slightly below average for most of the game until that fourth quarter where they got some shots in. The Mavs offense was the one that just did not show up, and they did not get enough going in this one. And so to me, that's why I started with Luka, but the turnovers, the turnovers absolutely destroyed them in this game. 18 turnovers is not going to work against the Thunder. It's just not.
You can stay up to date all year on the Dallas Mavericks by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Mavericks on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, the Magic are proving to be a formidable foe in the East, even without Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. Before we get to that, Joe Burrow is the latest athlete to be the victim of a crime. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. You could look forward to the hardwood for a few interesting wagers. The Hawks and the Knicks meeting in Madison Square Garden. Always fun when Trae Young is at the Garden. The Knicks, big favorites. FanDuel likes New York by 7 in this one. You can also look Warriors-Rockets. Much closer. FanDuel has the Rockets by just 1.5. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Joe Burrow became the latest professional athlete to have his home broken into and burglarized. No one was injured in the break-in, but the home was ransacked, according to a report provided by the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. The homes of Chiefs stars Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce were broken into in October. In the NBA, Milwaukee Bucks forward Bobby Portis had his home broken into on November 2nd. And Minnesota Timberwolves guard Mike Conley Jr.'s home was burglarized in September while he was at a Minnesota Vikings game. The Associated Press previously obtained a memo from the NFL to its players that said athletes have become increasingly targeted for burglaries by organized and skilled groups, and for players to take extra precautions. Bill Belichick reportedly has an offer on the table from the University of North Carolina to be their next head football coach. The Tar Heels are hopeful he will accept, according to reporting from CBS Sports. That's usually how it works. When you extend an offer, you hope they're going to accept, and would bring Belichick back to the university where his dad coached in the 1950s. The Athletic reports the parties are apart, though, on multiple key areas. Belichick interviewed twice with the Tar Heels representatives recently. One would still have to think he prefers the NFL, where he is just 14 wins away from Don Shula's all-time record. And could there be trouble in the Bay? Well, even more trouble than there already has been for the 49ers this season. Deebo Samuel deleted a post on X that seemed to show the 49ers wideouts frustration with his lack of involvement in the offense recently. The now deleted post read, "Not struggling at all, just not getting the ball." On Tuesday, he was interviewed by reporters in his locker and said, when asked to clarify what he meant, "You read what you read." A little frustrated for sure. Over the past 4 games, Samuel has 97 total yards from scrimmage on 17 touches and hasn't exceeded 35 yards from scrimmage in any of those contests. The Milwaukee Bucks squeaked out an NBA Cup quarterfinal game against the shorthanded Orlando Magic, 114-109 on Tuesday night. Jalen Suggs poured in 32, had a chance, had a couple shots late that just couldn't fall. Philip Rossman-Reich was in Milwaukee at Fiserv Forum. He joins me now. And Philip, this has been a game effort the last couple of weeks, or last couple of games, with Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero, each dealing with oblique injuries. What is it about this team that allows them to still play so tough without their 2 best players?
Yeah, I mean, Doc Rivers actually had a great bite about this before the game. When you defend the way that the Magic defend, when you play with as much intensity and as hard as the Magic play, that sets you up to be successful when you're down so many players. And, while they give up 114 points, they give up 34 in the fourth quarter. We could talk about maybe some of the late game problems they have. This team still gets after you defensively. They poke, they prod, they stop you, they grab, they gobble up rebounds. They don't, frankly, let their poor offense or their poor shooting affect how they defend. And that's the basis of this team. That's the heart of this team. And while Franz Wagner is certainly kind of a near all defensive level player, defensive team level player, if he's not one already, they can survive without that because their defense is such a core part of their identity. It's who they are. And this team, frankly, doesn't know any better. They'll just keep defending, keep going at you until they break you. And usually in fourth quarters this year, they break teams with that defense.
Yeah, you mentioned the poor shooting. They are one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league, shot 22% in this game and still almost won it. That's the part that's crazy. If you're a Magic fan, are you just sitting at home going, hey, we get Franz back, we get Paolo back, like, let's go. Like, it's just going to be a seamless transition back to the top of the Eastern Conference?
I mean, I don't think it needs to be said that they're going to be seamlessly transitioning back to the Eastern Conference, top of the Eastern Conference. They're going to stay there. They play. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But no. I think if you're an Orlando Magic fan, like my first take and kind of my first reaction to this game was to come into this building where Milwaukee wants to win. Like they felt they left one on the table in Vegas last year. They want that trophy. They want, you put a trophy in front of anyone super competitive, they're going to go after it. They want that trophy. They want that redemption. To come into this building with the crowd the way it is, with the team that Milwaukee has starting to figure themselves out, to put up this kind of a fight, to stay in the game, to not like let themselves get blown out. Milwaukee went on an 18-4 run, I think, to end the third quarter. That could have been it. That could have been the end. Yeah. But this team keeps fighting back. And with a lot of home games coming up here after these NBA Cup games, depending on what happens tomorrow in New York, the Magic are home essentially for the rest of the month. They're undefeated at home. They play with a lot of energy and a lot of kind of a bravado at home. I think they feel like whenever Paolo comes back, hopefully by the end of this month, they're going to be fine. They're going to keep the ship more than steady. They're going to be ready to kind of zoom back up the Eastern Conference standings once they're fully healthy.
The question is now about the playoffs. I think for this team, we saw what they were able to do last year to get into the postseason mix. And now it's about winning series and being a real threat. It looks like they have a team that can do that. The question is going to be about this offense. Is getting Franz and Paolo back just going to solve? Is it going to be a panacea for this team in the postseason, or are there things you think they need to figure out between now and they've got time to figure it out, but between now and March, April?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're a panacea. Paolo Banchero can be a little bit of a hold the ball too long ISO scorer. That's the big criticism on him, although he's improved his efficiency dramatically through the 5 games that he played at the beginning of the season. Their offense wasn't anything special at the beginning of the season, even with him. So I think there's still a lot of offensive problems to solve. But with their defense, the way that it plays, they don't need to score a ton of points. They know that, frankly, if you look at the numbers, they're the best fourth quarter team in the league. They give up, I think, something like, but not including tonight, like 98 points per 100 possessions in the fourth quarter. They even won the fourth quarter tonight. They won the fourth quarter 37-34. They get you to that fourth quarter. Crazy. they're going to weigh on you. They're going to tire you out. And I think this team is very, very confident. As long as that game is close, there's a stretch of minutes, could be 4 or 5 minutes, where you're just not going to score. And that's when they're going to zoom past you and beat you up pretty badly. So I think the Magic know that there's still work to do to maybe get to that consistent title contender status, but they're not just going to be a tough out. And when they get to the playoffs, they're probably going to be favored in the series that they're playing.
You can stay up to date all year on the Orlando Magic by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Magic on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, nothing left for the Yankees to do but to go win the whole damn thing. The Yankees did not get Juan Soto, in case you have been living under a rock. Now what? Locked On Yankees host Stacey Getsoulias and Brian McKeon know just what the Yankees should do.
Focus on the fact that they now have the rest of the offseason to make the team better. And would it have been nice to have Juan Soto? Yes, it would have been great. But having Juan Soto at that much money would have hamstrung the Yankees. And now they have all this money to spend because, Hal, you showed us, hey, I'm willing to give him $760 million and pay him a lot of money per year. Okay. Show that now when you fix the roster, and don't do this. We're going to work from within for 2 positions. No. You're going out and getting people now because you have the money to do it.
We said this at the start of the offseason. We sat here and told you guys that he was going to go to that. If we both thought the Mets were going to be the highest bidder and he was going to have to choose the Yankees over the Mets. Mm-hmm. And the Yankees gave credit the Yankees. I think they came way closer than me and Stacey thought they were.
I was so afraid. I was so afraid that the Mets were going to offer him $750 and the Yankees were going to come in at $690.
Yeah. We both thought it was going to be a $30 million difference being
at
generous.
Least.
And we were he's going to have to choose the Yankees over the Mets at that point.
Right.
And I thought it was going to be something close to that. I didn't remotely think they'd come within $5 million, and still he chose the Mets over them.
Yeah.
This is, again, I can't sit here and be that angry at the Yankees then. I can't.
I can't either.
They gave a 26-year-old 16 years for $700. They gave him more money than some MLS teams are worth. I can't sit here and be angry at that. I can't. They made a move, and I'm not angry too, because was it a great year to have Juan Soto playing for the Yankees? Absolutely. But they can, they have a lot of flexibility now to go make a lot of moves. They can potentially become a better team. I'm not saying they will be. And don't spin this as me sitting here saying that they are better off without Juan Soto. They're not.
No,
He's a generational talent, and it would have been great to have him.
Yeah.
But
they'll be better off in the future, not having to pay all that money
right now,
to him.
Yeah.
But
when he's 42 years old, they'd be better off not paying him $50 million a year for sure. But right now, I cannot sit here and tell you the Yankees can't be better next year, because they can potentially. They have a quicker route to a World Series now than if they did sign Juan Soto. They just do.
It could certainly turn out that with the money the Yankees didn't spend on Juan Soto, that they can go out and get players who can cobble together not just the value of Juan Soto, but exceed the value. That's a lot of money to spend on really good players, on multiple really good players. And the Yankees, if they want to be contenders this season, probably need multiple players, but that's not the point. If you're a Yankees fan, what tells you that they're going to actually do that? What tells you that they're going to do what is necessary when they couldn't do what is necessary with a player in their own building, in their own clubhouse? They didn't do what was necessary to retain him, so why should they have any faith that they will do what is necessary to replace the outgoing production, and not just replace it, but potentially exceed it? Why would you have faith that they would or even could do that? I don't see the evidence. And finally, Anthony Edwards has been fined $25,000 for using profanity in a post-game press conference after the T-Wolves beat the Warriors last Friday. I can't repeat the words that he said, as now we would get penalized much more severely for using those same words in our airspace. What up, FCC? If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here for you with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up on the next Locked On Sports Today, two teams looking to stay alive in the NFC West race got together on Thursday. So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
Go to our video on demand. Click on sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.